Well, hello, and welcome back. I'm AJ O'Neill. This is Beyond Code Live, and we're continuing the blog project. So I fixed the formatting errors with the timestamps, and we have here, let me go back to, here's our little demo. So get that out there so that you can kind of see. And let's see, new post. There we go. Blah, blah, blah. I'm putting the title down. I just moved the title down to the bottom. I hadn't committed that yet. I don't know if I had done that in the last one. But anyway, so we can load drafts of different posts. We're not yet able to publish it to a blog that exists on Gitee and GitHub, but we're going to get there. So what we're going to work on in this bit is I need to be able to select the blog system. So the three that I've got to work with are Desi, Eon, which is based on Hugo, and then Bash blog, and then where it's going to publish to, primarily being GitHub or Gitee, because I've got blogs in both places. And I'm kind of thinking about, how do we get straight to the point and not mess around? And I think what I actually want to have it do, and I might have mentioned this last time, but just be able to create the title in Markdown, like so, and have it fill out the title. But we're going to have a way to edit the YAML stuff. That's apparent to me. Anyway, we'll just dig into it. And if at any point you find this to be useful or helpful or you learn something, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell for personalized notifications. And check the doobly-doo for relevant links to the rest of the playlist and stuff like that. All right, so we're off. Now, let me go ahead and close out a couple of windows that I had open. I should have done this already, but whatevs. I'm going to just let that sit and simmer for now. Okay, so where we're at is I need to make a drop-down list that actually does something. That's what I need to do. And also, let me look in my little to-do snippet here. I need to add some style and a field set. So I'm going to go ahead and open up. I'm just going to paste the style in here for now until I figure out what I want it to be. Because eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my own version of mvp.css here that has the customizations that I want. Like, I think that it would be nice to be able to have a small button, for example, and I would like to have field set for inline fields. And I'm going to have to talk with somebody who does CSS to really figure that out, because that's not my area, hence I'm using mvp.css. But I think that it is actually a really good place to be and to start. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the right kind of CSS system because it's based on semantic HTML rather than being based on endless classes and senseless components. Anyway, what I need to do is, I guess, the blog type. I've got in here, what do I want to do? Essentially, it's going to need to know if it's Gitee, it needs to know the host and the organization or user and the repo, and then the rest of the information it'll know based on the way that Gitee's API works. And then with GitHub, it needs to know the organization and the project. So we're going to need, and we need to know what, so we need to know the type of YAML or the type of blog for the YAML. And I'm just going to copy this all out right now because this is useful stuff, but it's not that useful right now. So let me copy, I didn't copy correctly, from start label to end label. I'm just going to throw this in the to-do as something for me to think about. And let's see, I actually want to have a field set maybe for the created. I'm not going to worry about that yet. Let's just focus on what's the most important at hand. Okay. So this can really slim down to just the ones that I'm starting with, which are going to be Desi, and maybe we'll use this lowercase for good measure. And now this can collapse quite a bit. Yep. And then Eon. And then bash blog. And that's it. We can get rid of all this stuff here. And then I want to be able to do another one. Which will be Git and GitHub. And then another thing that we're going to need in line here will be domain host. Not sure what to call it. It needs to be an HTTPS URL. And should I call it host base URL? Base URL? I don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe this should be a second field set. We'll think about it. We'll do it for now. So it's going to need the URL, org, user, or org. And finally, the repo. And maybe we could just make all three of these go into one. Yeah, let's just call this repo. I guess technically there is GitHub Enterprise. So I think what will change here is just maybe the placeholder value. Let's try that. Because I'm thinking on this wise, it's going to be easier for somebody to just go to their page and copy and paste the URL than it is for them to copy and paste it out. Because if I just do, GitHub, well, in my case, I've got a couple of different ones that pop up as options. But anyway, I think for most people, it's quicker to just copy from their Git. Well, I guess if you just go to GitHub, hold on a second here. Whoops, didn't mean to scroll through that. If I just go to GitHub, I'm going to land on my stuff, right? Yeah. So, or I'm going to land close to my stuff, whatever. I'll be able to copy and paste the link. That's the point. Okay. So, yeah, we'll get rid of that. In which case, this can actually go into the prior field set. Let me go ahead and save. It is late. I don't want to be up too late. I'm just going to try to make a couple of changes because I want to be using this tomorrow for sure. So I just kind of want to make the minimum number of changes if I can. So here, let's see, select needs to have a name. And this one can be blog. And this one can be host, I guess, or repo. But here's the thing. No, that's not repo. This one is Git. Could maybe call it Git host. Git web, WebGit. I forgot what it used to be called. The self-hosted version, the very first one. Or very first one. The one that the Linux kernel was based off of. It was like a WebGit or something of that nature. Okay, this looks good. So I can get all of that into my form field. And rookie mistake. Not everything should be selected here. I don't know that anything should be selected on that. And probably GitHub should be selected here because most likely that's what people are using. And I think that later on, I'm going to want to change the way this works so that it gets the element itself rather than the event, because I'm pretty sure you can always get the event from window.event. Yeah, that's why event is being passed in this way in the first place, because it's window.event. I could just put window.event there and that would be the same. Okay. Let's see what we can do. So on change, when we go to save and we do the update and we do the store. Oops. And we do want to debounce at some point. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to stay up too much longer. I was going to do more of this sooner, but I got caught in some chat conversation, which is always slow anyway. Oh, and hello to those of you that are watching. Feel free to ask comments or ask questions or make comments. I've got both the Twitch and the YouTube open. Okay, so what I'm going to need to do is say post.blog. Maybe this should be system. I just put underscores there when I'm not really clear on what the API is yet. I haven't firmed it up yet. So it's just kind of a marker of this is internal prototyping kind of thing. Or if it is going to stay internal private, shouldn't be exported or documented, then I'll leave the underscore there. Anyway, so we're going to do, I guess it should just be name equals blog, and that's an input, so that value should be valid. And we're just going to hard code what's allowable at first. So we also want to do git host, and then repo. So there we are. Now I'm getting all of those values on store, and that's really the only time that they should be set. That should be an empty string. That one's going to be null, so we'll just make it into an empty string. And this one, no, that one's not going to be null by default because we're going to select GitHub by default. And this one is going to be, yeah, null until they select it. So that looks about right. So then what we got to do is, I guess some systems should be selected by default. Otherwise, we don't know what to do. So I do need a default value. So we're going to call Eon the default value as the blog system. We don't need a default value for that. That's okay. So now what I need to do is where I'm creating the preview, way back over here, we basically need to have a mapping of the systems and what their template should look like. So systems post blog, and this one's actually Desi, and then Eon was a little bit simpler, fewer options. Well, some more got added, but I haven't checked out what all they are yet. So I need to go back to my Eon blog. No, wait, don't I have it? I don't remember. I think somewhere I have it already in the comments. Okay, so this is what I need. So Eon looks like this. So date is called date rather than created. And how am I doing this? Like that. Well, we're going to do the same thing here. Oh, yeah. Actually, I'll just copy and paste this. That makes sense. And then, wait, was it date on this one or was it created? I thought it was created. Let me go check that one too. It is date. Okay, so they both use date. I think Eon's been updated to use UUID now as well. But either way, like, I still want time zone to go in there. I still want description to go in there. I think they're becoming more and more the same. Updated. Is that really, they're really the same already? Updated and updated. I mean, it makes sense to call them that. Categories. It doesn't have permalink. I don't know that you can specify the slug for the URL of the article. Okay, but we've got title, we've got, let's see, description, time zone, date, updated, UUID, all of that. Just not the permalink. Everything else looks about the same. Okay, cool. All right, there we are. All right. So let's do this. And then the bash blog doesn't actually have YAML as such. Okay, so we'll say Eon's the default here. And that might be it. I might have just solved my problem. With that, when the post comes through, blog should be set. Any action that triggers the preview should trigger blog to get set. And then we also, let's see, where are we putting the preview stuff here? Preview. I think I want to do another one of these where we set, maybe instead of file name, let's do JS repo here. And so this one might need a little bit more finesse. So based on, well, the repo is just going to be the repo. So did we already assign repo? Yeah, we already assigned repo. So that's just going to be repo. I need to go make in the HTML a place to put that. So let me go over to the HTML. And down in the preview area, I just need another place, maybe below towards the bottom. Call this repo. And yeah, that should just be the URL. Gets posted there. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what we've got so far. So I am on the local file version, so when I hit refresh, this should update. And we've got a little undefined there. Why do we have undefined? Is something going wrong? Let's go ahead and open up the inspector. Indeed, something is going wrong. Cannot update value of null. So what have we got? Name equals blog. Okay, did I not? Name equals blog. Select name equals, oh, it's not input, it's select. Okay, got it. Cool. Name equals, let's put that as a select. And then this one's also a select. I mean, technically, I don't really need that there, but I like it for clarity because name equals get host is sufficient. Especially if we were to scope these properly, which at some point I have the intention of doing. By that I mean that I will pass in this to the event handler and then look for the closest controller or component and then only select things that are within that. So even if I had nested things that had similar names, I'd get the same kind of effect that you'd get with Vue or with Angular or with React, where it appears to be scoped to the controller because it would only crawl up the DOM to the closest controller element. So I guess that would not make it just appear to be, it would actually be scoped to the controller. Okay, let me see, how are we doing now? Still got undefined. Are we still having the same error? Or is it just legacy because I didn't change anything yet? Okay, that is empty, which is fine. Let's do github.com /86. All right, so that's on change. We could make that on key up. That would be fine. I guess we actually do want to save this information as well. I don't want to take the time to do this right now because I'm kind of tired. I don't want to head to bed soon. But set item, where we're doing all the set items, which is right here, what I want to do, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and start doing it right now, is have a, post.content. I'm going to deprecate all of these. And then I'm going to work through removing them. So we're going to have a meta and a data. And the meta is going to be json.stringify. I'm not actually going to use this yet. I'm just putting it in here so that I can do deprecate. So what are we going to have? We're going to have blog. We're going to have get host, pronounced get thost, of course. Githost. Yeah, that looks right. Pronunciation guide. Put this in there. So all those things need to be in there. Plus we need the normal things that we know we need. And I am going to elevate _slug to non_slug because I've thought about it and I'm sure that that's what I want. However, I need to go through and find all the occurrences and replace that real quick. Okay, and then we're going to have created. This is the type of thing where this task right here is something where tab9 or Kite or Copilot, I'm not sure if Copilot actually does this, but I think it does. Anyway, certainly tab 9 and kite can really help with repetitive tasks like this, where it sees like, oh, you're starting to do this thing, and you open up a new line, and it's like, ah, I can see you just wanted to go through the list that's up here. Let me go through that list for you. All right, time zone, title, content. We're not going to put content in here. So this is going to be all the metadata. Time zone. And what the sleepyhead was I doing here? We don't need that. All right, I'm going to go through. I'm not going to do the refactor yet. I'm going to leave slug underscored. But maybe once I have this other stuff working correctly, I'll make the switch. And I've got, you know, put that commit in. I like to try to keep my refactor commits separate from my feature commits. I'm kind of buying into the semantic system. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Empty. Appreciate it. Alrighty. So let's just put anything in here. Yeah. All right, great. So https://github.com/age86. And then let's refresh and see if we still get that. Now it's undefined on refresh. Why? Because I'm not restoring it. I'm saving it, but I'm not restoring it. So let me go to where I do the get item. And this is getting, you know, I've been building this ad hoc just little by little. It is getting to the point where it deserves a little bit of refactor on the model, separating out the model pieces from the view pieces. It is getting to the point where it's getting a little bit difficult to read. I think up to the last section it was really good. Also, it's a, you know, like I said, it's a little late, so I'm a little sleepy, and I'm not functioning at 100%. But it's getting harder to read for sure. Anyway, so what I really want to do then, oh, and UUID. Let me go back down to where I just did all of this. I need to make sure that UUID is in here. Yep. Okay, now let me go back to restore. And let's see, get item. Got to have the UUID already on it. That makes sense. But what I actually want to do is let's make var post equal to local storage get item, and then we're going to go do post dot plus UID plus meta, or that, and we'll do json.parse. So now we've got back our post, and then we can start adding everything to it. And I'll put the UUID right here. There we are. So, and then just kind of as a smooth upgrade path for myself, I'm going to put some ors in front of these. So these are going to be deprecated. Yeah, and I'm working on that to do right now. And do I want... No, that makes sense, actually. I just want to deprecate this part. I want to deprecate getting little minutia out of local storage. And eventually, some of the stuff will have to go in IndexedDB as well. All right. So I want to do the same thing with this one. Post.created or... And same thing here. We're going to deprecate that and get rid of it because we're not going to need all the minutia. And then same thing here, except this, yep. So essentially this is a better way to write this would be if not post.updated. That's definitely more clear, I would say. I'd want to do the same thing here. And then we're going to do, I'm just kind of making this a gradual upgrade so I can run this a couple times and get the new format. I want to take this one up. This is not going to be deprecated in the same way. Well, no, that deserves to stay down at the bottom. And by the way that my Vim setup is, if you go to webinstall.dev/vim-essentials, or just go to webinstall.dev and click the link there, that's 90% of my Vim setup. And I'll put a link to that in the chat for those of you watching. Nobody asked about my Vim setup, but it's one of those things that come up, you know. So I'm just going to put that in there for you. That's how I do a lot of my stuff. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to prefer the new format of the ID, which is this post plus UUID plus .data. Same thing here. And then we're going to have these failovers for the old stuff. So if not post.created. And if not post.timezone. All right, I think that looks right. And I want to put that deprecate on here. All right, what did I mess up on? I'll find out soon enough. Unmatch ending bracket. No surprise. There we go. That looks like that's the one. Cool. So this is gone from to do to done. And I think I might also want to put in here the slug. I don't know. I don't know if I want to put the slug until we actually go to commit it. Let's see. All right. So hopefully that didn't break anything. That was our restore. Let's go back to the store. And yeah, that looks right. Go back to the restore real quick. And I'm not doing anything with blog, get host, and repo, although I don't think I need to. So it should be good there. All right, let's refresh. Cool, so that was sticky, but this wasn't sticky. So load. Let's give load a little bit of love. So put in blog here, should be blog. Repo should be repo, get host should be get host. All right, now let's see if everything fills out appropriately. Oh, something broke. Value of null. And again, the input got me because those are selects. So we're going to select the get host system that we're using, whether it's Git or GitHub, and select the blog system that we're using, whether it's Desi or Eon or Bashblog. Cool, that looks good. So now, can I change between systems and have it rewrite? Yeah, I can. Cool, so that's basically what I was looking for. Except Bashblog let me go do this. If it's bash blog, I don't want to insert the empty new lines. Let's go to preview, where I'm manipulating the DOM a little bit. And this is another area where I want to clean up. I can put those in a loop and re-roll it, I guess, a little bit. Okay, so if we've got the preview container, got the file string. I see. So this is what I want to do. If post dot front matter dot trim then file string is equal to this, else file string is equal to just post.content. Oops, that looks good. And can I guarantee that front matter always exists? I think that I can. Post template. Yeah, the template could be an empty string. Joining in, yeah, okay. So I'm guaranteed that that's always at least an empty string, so I don't need to trim it. But we do want to see, oh no, I do want to trim it, but I don't need to or string it. There we go. So let's see what this looks like now. Switch over to bash blog. Sweet. Looking good. Eon, Desi, excellent. And then if the repo is set to GitHub, then we should definitely treat it as GitHub. So at this point, the thing that I may wait on is putting, so the idea is that you're going to be able to write the blog very quickly. And like I was saying before, I think I'm going to just integrate it so it pulls the title from, if you start with a normal markdown title with the pound, it'll get the title from there, the date's auto-generated. This, we can put some reasonable defaults. You're going to have to put in the repo. But I want there to be a commit button. And what that's going to do, which I'll just show this actually I will go through this with the Beyond Code blog. So let me get to github.com Beyond Code. And let's see, this is under articles. Yeah, this is Eon. So things will go under articles. We're going to build the URL. We're going to put a button right here. And when we click the button, even though this doesn't have any APIs hooked up, it's going to open up GitHub. If I'm signed into GitHub, it's going to open up to the create new post page. So I can write my article here. I can click the button. It's going to open up on GitHub. And then I just click commit on GitHub. And then my build system that's already exists on GitHub, kind of like GitHub Actions, but it's not GitHub Actions. It's called Git Deploy. But my system that already exists with the webhooks is going to deploy the blog. So we'll go ahead and put this in place. I'm going to put right in this area a button for that in this field set. So I always put labels around everything. I've mentioned this before, because a label will increase the target size. So a lot of people, you see them they'll put like a label for and then give an ID. I don't like doing that because IDs pollute the global namespace. And then also you don't get the benefit of what a label is for. A label is to go around an element and it increases the target size. So you'll see that in just a second. I mean, I could demonstrate that a little bit like here. Like if I click over here, it highlights. Why? Because the whole thing is wrapped in a label. And maybe you don't want it to be clickable that far out because that is pretty far, but that's just a matter of adjusting the padding and margin on the CSS. But the person that created this CSS system, either they weren't aware how labels were intended to be used or they have something against that. I don't know. but they didn't do it that way. Anyway, we're going to make this a button. Well, I'll actually make it an input of type submit. No, no, I don't. Don't want to do that. I'm going to make this a URL because that actually makes a lot of sense. That is exactly what this ought to be. And we're going to give it I because that has semantic meaning in this mvp.css, which everything you see here was mvp.css. So I'd highly recommend checking that out because you just write semantic HTML and then you get your, it looks nice. It looks nice by default. I think that's great. Okay, this is going to need a class. We're going to call this JS, and then I'm going to call it commit URL. And let's call it, maybe commit's a little strong. Let's call it create. Create on. And then this should be we're going to put in here class is equal to JS get host. Yeah. So we're going to fill that in with whatever their get host is. And then the commit URL we're going to fill in. So we're going to fill those in, I think, on load. And then we're going to want to be able to have this kind of be disabled, which I don't know if that works with anchors. I'm going to go check that out real quick. Disable a tag. Maybe I should have put HTML in there or something. There is no disable. You don't want something, then you need to remove the a tag altogether. Alternatively, you can remove the href. All this is blah, 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 not recommended. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. That is the sensible thing to do in this case. All right, so let me just take a look at that as is real quick and see, did that put it in the place? Yeah, it did. All right, cool. That looks good. Good enough for now. And then we just need to have this fill out. Whoops, didn't mean to close that out. So I think on load is one of the places where I want to fill this out. Let's see. Or maybe it's on restore. I think it's restore. Where am I doing the assigning things? Hold on, value equals, where am I doing that? Oh, it's underscore load. Okay, makes sense. So what we want to do is find, I think I called it commit URL. Is that what I called it? I already forgot what I called it. Let me go check. Commit URL and get host. Okay. So get host. What we want to do is, and by the way, this is not jQuery. This is a jQuery. It's just a document.query selector, just wrapped. So you're not going to see me doing any jQuery-ish things here. Anyway, so commit URL, and this is going to be dot. This is an A, so we want ref equals, and this is going to be post repo, but it's going to be more than that because it depends on the blog system. So I'll get to that in just a second. Should probably just leave that up here. So depending on the blog system, we're going to be adding different things to that. This one is a little bit more generic, and this is just inner text because this is a span. And I find that putting the tags, again, it just helps with the clarity, the readability of knowing what it was. Because to me, a span is just a blank spot to put stuff, as opposed to a button or whatever. Anyway, we're going to set the inner text to that to be post.getHost. And then we're going to say the next thing that's going to go in here. Okay, so I like to put out an example of what this is going to be. So github.com, beyond code, bootcamp. Let me get rid of this other thing over here. There we go. Beyond code bootcamp.com. That's kind of long, but that is the example at hand, so I'm just going to use it. So we're going to take that, and then the commit URL for this is going to become, so first of all, it is under articles. So let's say if bash is equal to post.blog, then it's going to be plus equals articles, right? No, not necessarily. But we're going to go with that for now. I'm just going to leave that there. And this should probably be a switch. We're going to switch post blog. And we're going to do case bash. And then break. And then the case of Eon, was Eon the same? This one was posts. So Desi is the one that's posts. Eon is under content and blog. Okay, cool. So let's go with that. And again, I am watching the comments. So if you've got any questions for me, feel free to leave them there. So this is under content blog. Let me triple check on that. Again, it's late, so I'm not holding a whole lot in my head for very many seconds at a time right now. I just wanted to get this done before tomorrow because I plan on using it tomorrow for myself. Yeah, so content blog is what Eon does. And then Desi has it with posts. And we need a break on all of those. And then the default, I think, actually, this would be fine to have a falls through here. No, I don't want to do that. It's better, a little copying is better because I might change that in the future or something. They're not really related to each other. Okay, cool. So before we actually do this, I need to switch on post.getHost, do something similar, except there's only going to be two cases right now, because it's either going to be GitHub or it's going to be Gitty. And this is one where I think it's okay to do a false through, because realistically, GitHub is the default. Oops, let's not call that whatever that was. Let's call it switch. All right, and then I just need to go look. I'm going to look in my to-do because I think in here I had this laid out, what this ends up looking like. Okay, there's, do I have this laid out for, here's Gitty. This is what Gitty looks like. And then this is GitHub. So let's focus on GitHub. Let's use this actual real example here. So, and realistically, there shouldn't be no default because we should have exhausted all options. So if it gets to the default, I kind of feel like it should, you know, let's say to do log error. I'm going to put that for both of these. And maybe, whatever. I'm not going to deal with it right now. I'm just optimizing my time here. Okay, so the repository is going to be all the way up to this point. So we can get rid of all of that. Whoops. And we're going to assume that if this ends in a trailing slash, hold on, there is something, a spider. No, okay, it's just my imagination. Occasionally we get little critters, you know. If this ends in a trailing slash, I want to remove it. So there's trailing slash there. So basically, if it ends in a trailing slash, we want to get rid of that. So that we can add starting with the slash right here. And then this looks good. File name equals. So I think, actually I do want to move this back up. And we're just going to call this is going to be something different. We're going to do var path name maybe. So path name is a string here, and we're just going to do this for each of these. And that's going to allow us to construct a nice string that has this stuff right in the middle, which is where we're going to end up needing it. And I will do console.warn warning. Using a default post.blog by accident. Post.blog. There we go. And I'll do the same thing down here. And I won't do that there. I'll move that up here. I won't do a falls through. I'll do a break. And I'll still have that there. We'll clean that up in just a second. I know it looks kind of wonky. Okay, so now my path name is guaranteed to be set. Let's just give this a little bit of a spacer here. So my path name is guaranteed to be set. And, oh no, I got rid of all of that hoopla that I was doing. It was good hoopla. And I'm going to do this in just a second. To do. Right now, I'm just going to put something ridiculous there. There we go. That's more ridiculous. Okay. So we're going to need to do plus path name. And then do plus post.slug, which really to do file name, and then content. Yeah, so post.content. And we're going to add all of that to the URL. Gosh, that looks really ugly. Probably want a nicer way to format this. Maybe I could. I don't know. I don't want to do too much right now. Let's call this commit path. Actually, I don't need that to have any default value there. So let's just call this commit path equals. I don't know if that actually helps at all. No, it looks just as ugly pretty much. I'll go back because that didn't do me any favors. Okay. And then this is going to be the same thing right here. I'm going to put that down in the default section. And then it's going to be similar here, but slightly different for getty. So let me go find out what it's going to be for Getty. Let me go back to, where was it here? And this is what Getty looks like. So let me copy this. And Getty is actually not built yet. I've got an open issue for that. That's something I may work on tomorrow, is I might do the pull request on Getty so that it can accept a file name and contents as a query parameter for creating new files from the web UI. Anyway, Getty. All right, back here. And let's just see real quick. So it is underscore new. Also, technically, I need to have the branch name in there as well. So I'm just going to put a to-do for that. To-do branch name. But I'm not going to do that tonight because I need to get to bed soon. Default main or master. Okay, content. Well, that's the only difference. The only difference is that it's got an underscore. And presently, so I'm going to comment that out. Presently, the way that we do this is we do actually add the path name there and then the file name. So this would be to do. Once we get the finish getting that implemented. Okay, slug value equals content. Yep, okay, cool. Cool beans, cool beans. So now we just need to make sure that this whole function probably should be moved out. It's kind of junking up this little area here. All right, so that's going to happen on load. And it really should happen, I think this should go in not into load, but into preview. Because this isn't just changing, this is changing depending on what else changes. This is not setting up the initial state. So I'm going to move this whole bit here into preview, because preview gets re-rendered regularly. Okay, I need to take these. That, yeah. So preview is where I have that kind of thing already. Yep, this is definitely the right place for it. And I think it makes a lot of sense to have it go right here. That one possibly could move up. Oh, and I ought to put examples for what this ends up being in each of these. So this needs to do example, and this one needs it as well. Lots of to-dos in there. That's fine. Okay, we're going to give this a run and see if I just refresh how badly it fails. Let me go to the console here. Give a little refresh magic. And it looks like it kind of, sort of, almost worked. Post.title.slice. Post.list. Okay, so why did post.title not get populated, and what did it not get populated from? So there's a title there. Why did it not get populated? That's my question. Post.title. Post.title. Would have come out of here. All right, set item, that's happening. Comes there. List, so it happens before list is called. Let's see what's happening right before list is called. We're doing a load, okay. Load, let's go to load. And title's coming from post title, it's restoring, so problem is probably in restore. Where is post.title at? Post.title is not here. That's okay. So I want to do similar thing to time zone and say post.title is equal to the old method or just an empty string. That's appropriate. All right. So let's refresh again. Cool. Any errors? Nope, no errors. All right, looking good. So let's see here. What do I actually want? I'm going to take this URL. I'm going to copy it over. I'm going to paste it. All right. This is GitHub, and this one is actually bash blog, but it's okay. I'm going to set it as though it were Desi, just for the sake of trying this out. Hello world. It's me. How you doing? Now, I've got something that I could just copy and paste. It's got all the front matter there. I've got what the file name is. This is not quite what I want it to be. There's one more thing I want to put in here, but let's see. Did this get updated? Oh, I know what is wrong about this already before I even try it. So we do need to do, let's see, path name. Let me see how encode URI works. I forget. Encode URI blah. Okay, I see. Yeah, so we need to do an encode URI on the path name. And then we need to do an encode path name component on the content. So we could right here do var content equals encode URI components on post.content. And then we would be using the encoded content. And that would be correct. Cool. All right, breakthrough moment about to happen here. Let's see, is this looking right? Let's check it out. Ba-da-da-da. Beautiful. It is doing exactly what it should do. Well, almost. It did not actually add the front matter. So I need to figure out why it didn't add the front matter. And I think I know why. I think it's because file stir is what the content should be, not post.content. That's it. Cool. And this created on GitHub. It really does need a target. Oh, there we are. Create, not created. And this should have target equals blank. Cool, cool, cool. Excellent. This is amazeballs. So now I have a really easy way to get all of this metadata, because for those of you that are joining in now and haven't watched the previous episodes, which are linked down in the doobly-doo, by the way. So what I've been doing when I want to create a new article on my blog is I click new article, and then I click on these things, and then I copy and paste this stuff. And then I paste that here, and I grab that from here, and I put in the UUID, and I'd grab the time and I'd put it in the right format. You know, it's just like, it's just tedious stuff, you know? So now with this, I have something that is auto-saving for me in the web browser, and that I can write my article, I can refresh, I can start multiple articles at the same time and not worrying about actually finishing one and having to publish it right away. Now again, it's all local, it's in this browser that's on this computer, but you know, it's good enough. And then I can go click create on GitHub, or in this case, create on Gitee, and I could swap out this for my Gitee. Let me go ahead and just do that actually. So let me leave this. Let me go to Gitee and just paste that in. And then I want to have, I've got a post up here. I want to have a blogs as well, so I can keep track of my blogs, and then actually have this so I just select which blog I'm posting to. So yeah, this one actually does use Desi. So if I just click create on Gitee, now this isn't going to work 100%, as you can see. So I'm going to go fix that real quick a little bit, because I need to make a PR on Gitee to finish this process. But I will do that when the time comes. Where did Gitee go? Right here. So this actually would have been a query parameter, and then I think this should work. So let's go ahead and do this. Click create on Gitee, and then there, it doesn't do anything crazy. Now I still have to go back and copy and paste. Oh, whoops, that's copy and paste in the wrong thing. Have to go back here to copy and paste, but it's doing most of the work for me. So I'm really satisfied with this. This is excellent progress. There's one more thing I'm going to add to this, and then I'm going to say, like, hey, this was great progress tonight. Couldn't be happier for the time spent and the amount of tired that I am with getting to this point. And I'll be able to, I don't know if I'm going to be able to close out another issue entirely. Let me check and see where my issue is at. Now I've got too many things open. Let me close this out, close this out, close this out. Yep, so I got that, got that, got that. And then, okay, don't have the URL of where it's going to deploy to. That would be good to have, but I'm going to save that for another day. I don't have the manual editing. But I do want to just have the URL that this is creating. I want to put it down here as well. I think I actually want it to replace this repo. Yeah. So where is JS repo? Oh gosh. Yeah, definitely need to refactor this function. It's way too long. I don't know if there's too much that I can do for this. I think that I can just take this part here and turn it into its own function. I think it just kind of has to be a little bit long. Probably a couple things I could do to shorten it up, but essentially it is what it is on that one. But I don't want that to clutter up this whole thing, because it's just making this function way too long. Anyway, I'm going to abuse this for a moment. And what was this one? This was code. Yeah. So let's refresh and just have, that's what it looks like. And that's okay. Oh, there's a double slash there. Looks like there might be a couple double slashes. I want to get rid of those. I don't want there to be double slashes. So I'll take a moment to fix that. So is path name guaranteed to have slashes on either side? It might be. I think I am guaranteeing that path name has slashes. So let me actually get rid of that. Because I feel like that's more appropriate. Every string should be able to start with a slash. So, and these also should not get in the way of that. Okay. So eliminated the double slashes. Yep. It looks a lot better. I'm liking it. So there's a couple changes I still want to make. Well, there's 100 changes I still want to make. But this is really good. This is useful. I will be using this tomorrow. Or yes, today, since it is today still. Okay, what do I need to change about the index.html? We added the field set stuff. Totally swapped out parts of the form. I don't want to leave that named JS repo. I'm going to call this raw URL. And let me go in the app and edit that as well. JS repo. We're going to call this raw URL. There. That's a more fair name. Because we're going to preview the raw URL with that. And then I do want to give that a little bit of context to say, you know, what is this thing? This is in a pre-block, so I think I do want to go back here and say raw URL. How's that look? Prefix it with debug. That way it doesn't stand out with too much of a sore thumb. We'll call it debug info. Debug info. Cool. And I'm not seeing any errors in here. Let me just click around a little bit. Okay. Oh, I don't like the repo being undefined. Let me see if I can figure out where that came from real quick. And then I think I'll call this good. It should be an empty string. That might just be leftovers. At this point, what is this store? Yeah, it should, because it should load. From restore. Yeah, at this level, it should get, okay. If not post.repo. It's an empty string. That's good. And then the get host stuff like that we don't really have to worry about because we have something selected as a reasonable default, don't we? Let me go check that out real quick. Dot value equals, I guess we need to do this. Just put a little conditional there. Okay, that's reasonable. Cool, so they will have their default values. And create on undefined. That was the JS get host. Really what this should be, it should be select name equals get host and then dot inner text. I think that's what that actually should be. I think in every situation. I think I want the selected. I don't know how I select the one that's selected. Let's do, okay, query selector, select selected option. Selected? Maybe that's what we do. Selected? Is that real? Well, thank you for letting me know. Knower? I don't know how to pronounce that. But thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Okay, now create on. It's still empty. Shouldn't be empty, because this should have something selected by default. So I'm just going to try selecting this in the terminal real quick, or not the terminal, the inspector. Okay. Let's try option, selected, no, select, selected, nope. Option. Let's try selected. Okay, now importantly, if I swap that, does it stick with the original value that's on the HTML, or does it update? See, that's the kicker. It sticks with the original value, not the updated value. So let me search this again. I don't want jQuery, I just want the regular DOM. Query selector selected option. Getting selected options with query selector all. Finding which is selected without jQuery. That's right, that's what I want. Option checked. Is it really that? Hold on. It just bugs me when they don't name things consistently. Okay, but indeed, that is it. So there we are. Cool. So looking good. All right, that's looking good. New post. Gotta start something great. Post title. Yabba dabba doo. Create on Getty. It doesn't reset when I click new post, which I guess is okay. Probably is just as well to assume that whatever was the last is going to be the next. And I'll have to do something about this one. This will have to become a drop down of blogs, like, or a combo box. Anyway, I think that's let's see if we still get that warning. Okay, yeah, we get the warning when we do a new post. And the reason that we get the warning when we do a new post is that blog is not set. So let's make sure that, I think in that case it's actually okay. It's okay that it's not set yet. Anyway, let's see, do I have any console.logs I need to get out of here? Nope, just console.warns, those are acceptable. And let's do a diff of these and just go through here and kind of see. So that all got moved down. That makes sense. Looks good. That was updated correctly. This is all good. Nice single block. I'm familiar with what I did there. This is, I'm just edging in. I didn't do the full refactor yet. I'm just edging in new changes. I'll do the refactor in the next commit tomorrow. Let's see. Didn't do too much here. We're just, you know what I need to do too? Is maybe just loop over the ones that can be set to an empty string or something like that. But it looks like most of these actually do need some kind of, yeah, they all have special behavior. The way that they are is correct. Okay. Yep. Cool beans. So what the heck do I call this? This is definitely a feature commit. And what I did was, well, first let me check status. Was there anything else? No. So this is definitely a feature commit. And the feature is, I added a commit URL for blog and Git systems for respective. So add commit link for respective blog and Git systems. Cool. Let's call this, that was a feature add for sure. So we're going to bump this up to 4.0. Git push tags. And then if you would like to try this out, as of this very moment, hold on, let me see if there's any more issues I can close out here. Don't have any authentication, don't have thumbnails. Implement query params. That I have to go do on Git. So this little bit I got done. Yeah, anyway. So I'll put this in the chat. I'll make sure that it's actually linked in the video description as well. So in just a second, it'll be updated in the video description on YouTube. There we are. So, oh, and I'll put it in the chat, but I'm going to go to bed momentarily. If you want to check it out for yourself, now know that there might be some changes. What I think I'll do is, as I make changes to this, in case people are starting to use it, I'll leave everything in local storage. I won't clear local storage. So if you go to the application tab and something breaks and you had some drafts or whatever, but now all of a sudden they're not there, well, if you go under local storage, you'll see post.data and post.meta. Yeah, post.data and post.meta. Let's see if we've got any post.metas in here. Yeah, so post.meta and post.data, and you'll see all. And you'll see current. So everything that is old, these ones, nobody who's watching this today will need these. They're going to be removed in v4.1, but they're going to be left in case anybody was watching yesterday, the day before, and has started using this already, which I don't think is the case because it wasn't really in a usable state yet. Now it's in a usable state. But everything that's not prefixed with post is going to, I'm no longer going to use those values. So it's just going to be things that are prefixed with post, and then all, and you've got the stuff that's the meta and the stuff that's the data. So as I change the way this works, I will do additive changes, not subtractive changes. So you won't have to fear that if you do a draft and then you hit refresh after I've done a publish, that something will get lost. Or at least, I mean, there is a little bit of fear of that because this is a super duper alpha product that is, being developed on YouTube. But there shouldn't be too much fear. I mean, like, this is something you can start to use this now. Like, I would tell my buddy Ryan, like, hey, start using this. Start giving me feedback. So that's, and I'm going to be using it for myself. So I don't want my data to get deleted. Anyway, thanks for tuning in and watching. There is the full playlist is down in the doobly-doo. So if you want to see that, you can. I am ultra tired. Let me just double check. Yeah, I committed and pushed everything. I'm really pleased with the progress that I made tonight. I am personally going to be using this now. It is at the point that it is personally useful to me. It does what I need it to do. Obviously, there's 100 more things I want it to do. If this was useful for you, please give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe if you want to. Just make sure you hit the personalized notifications bell so that you don't get my game stuff and my soldering stuff if you're not into that. Otherwise, hit the bell for everything. And I will catch you later. You have the best morning, day, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. For me, it is the very, very early morning, late night. But you have the best one ever. Adios. And now I click on OBS and I hit my end stream key and